Hi, everybody. This is Pam Vrner, and I'm just going to wait a couple minutes because I'm not sure everybody knows that I'm here. So let me do a couple of things just to look and see. And I'm just going to wait for someone to say hello. And if that doesn't happen, then I'm just going to get started here in a minute. And if that doesn't happen, then I'm just going to get started here in a minute. So today I'm going to do the spinning petals from the Elevate Club box. So let's get started with that, shall we? Oh, goody. Someone said hello. Okay, somebody's here. Yay, thanks for being here. I wasn't quite sure that there was going to be a lot of people here today. So we're just going to go ahead and hopefully everything's going to be fine and we won't lose video. And let's see, put a little light on here. Today we are going to use the spinning petal template from the Elevate box. So this is the template. You have two sizes. You have a 5-inch size and we have a 3-inch size. And we're going to use both of them. So we're going to do some classic Spinifex designs. We're going to do a little border design and we're going to play with applique. So first we're going to start with just a classic design. So this is 16 crosshairs, but I'm only going to use 8 of them. I might use 16, but I think I'm just going to use 8 for this one. So I have to pay attention and make sure that I do every other marking. So this template has, like I said, it has markings that are very similar to your Spinifex. This down here is your baseline where your needle is. This is your center. This is designed after the same shape as a Spinifex 3, I believe, only the markings are a little different. On the Spinifex 3, this over here is the top. And on this one, this is the top. And this is going to become important when I show you about the applique. And that's why the lines are a little bit different. So let me come in here, put my third hand in, and slip my template in there. So you could use this either way. We're going to use it. You know, that might be fun, right? Let's do something a little different. So this is classically the bottom of the design, and this is the tip of the design. But maybe let's do it backwards and see what we come up with, just for fun. So I'm going to go around. And I'm going every other line. I have my feed dogs down. I'm using 80 weight polyester thread in the needle and a 60 weight thread in my bobbin. I have, let's see, I set a size 80 needle. Yeah, my feed dogs are down. So we are ready to go. I have my grid glider on. The grid glider is my personal favorite because it allows me to do piecing with it as well, and I don't have to take it off. I hardly ever take this off of my table. I pretty much leave it on there all the time. So the other thing about this template is you can put stable tape on both sides of the template. Did I mess up? No. And you get a different look where this goes to the left, or you can get it where it goes to the right. So you can also combine those looks. Make sure that we don't. And then we're going to finish this off like this. Spinifex designs go really fast. Oh, I messed up, you guys. Oh, well. We could take that out, but. Or what I would do, since I messed up, is I would go back and just fill in all of these. That wasn't my intention, but every so often you just kind of gotta fix what you messed up. Yes, it's hot in El Paso and it's hot in Tucson, so it's probably hotter in El Paso. Let's see. So I guess we are doing 16 rotations. And let's see, that one's done. I'm trying to keep my threads out of the way. When I quilt and I go back and forth into the center so many times, I will trim my beginning threads and not bury them. Oops, with that one, I have to do this one. And we're coming up towards that end. Boy, that's going to be hard to get those middle threads out. This is kind of strange because this side here is wider on to the left than it is to the right. So when you come up here, you kind of think you're going to go the same distance to the right and you don't. And you're like, wait, did I go off the template? But you didn't. So, and I think that's it. I think I got all of them. Okay, well, I think we're going to have to add another design in here somewhere. So I'm going to do this. And then I'm just trying to get these beginning threads out of the way. What I would do, and I'm just doing a demo, so it doesn't, like I wouldn't do that if I was just practicing. But what I would do at this point is I would come out a few stitches if I was going to bury, and I would bury out here. Or I would lock a few stitches and then I would cut them. So those are a couple of options for when you're finishing. It depends on what I'm doing, if I lock or if I lock and cut or if I bury. So if it's a quilt, I most always bury. And then I say that and then I like don't do it. So there we go. So there's that kind of backwards. And now we're going to do it again, going with this wider part here in the middle, and then go off to the, it goes off at an angle. So, and then I'm going to get another sandwich. I'm going to show you something else real quick. Just because this template is really a good one to do some fun stuff with. So I've taken a couple of stitches, and the reason I do that is it locks my stitches and I don't have to hold my threads when I start stitching. So, all right. So we were gonna, yeah, this is supposed to be the center. And you can tell because even though I covered it with stable tape, you can see the writing of the template here. So that means that's right side up. Okay, so we're going to put that way, but we're going to start with it coming towards me. And this time I am going to do every other one. So wish me luck that I don't mess that up. One, two. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep saying 1, 2, and then hopefully I won't mess this up. Go here. Skipped one. I wanted to skip one for a reason, so that's why I want to make sure that I don't mess up again. You could cut if you make a mistake, like I did the last time. So let's say I stitched this one and I didn't mean to. You can go back and remove those stitches. Just when you, because just take a couple of stitches in the center. That will lock your stitches, so the ones that you take out will be okay to take out. So I hope that made sense. Okay, skip one, go here. Skip one and go here. Yay, I'm remembering. Skip one and go here. Okay, these threads are making me crazy. I'm gonna get them out of there. So see how this I like stitched over it? And so it just makes it, you have to like pull and things like, did I get both of them? I did. Oh no, I didn't. Here's one. Oh well, we'll get it later on the other side. So, all right. I hope everybody's having a great summer. This is the time of year where I do a lot of quilting. I know most people that live in climates where it's cold in the winter do a lot of quilting in the winter. Here in the desert, we do a lot of quilting in the summer because it's too hot to do it in the winter. Did I do that right? I skipped 2. Okay. Oh, here, we're going to fix this mistake. See here, I skipped 2, right? I did this one, and then I was supposed to do this one, and I did that one instead because I wasn't paying attention. I was talking. So we are going to come back here, do the one we were supposed to do. This is going to take a little time, but I think you'll appreciate it when I'm done. Okay, so this was the one I was supposed to do. So skip and go here. Skip and go. No, I did something wrong. Oh yeah, go here. There we go. Like, what did I do? All right. So this is the one we're going to take out. Okay, so I would lock this and now if I hadn't made that mistake, I could go on to the next part of this design, but I made the mistake, so I have to kind of fix myself. All right, so we've made a mistake. That's fine. Let's fix it. I think it's really important to learn how to fix mistakes. So let's see. Skip one, skip one, skip one. This is the one that's wrong right here. So all we have to do is take it out. And we're just going to come in here. I might need to get out a pair of tweezers. And I'm just like pulling every few stitches. You don't have to pull every other stitch unless you stitch really tightly. Like, I don't know, I hope you can see my stitches. They're not super tight. I think that comes from years and years of stitching, doing walking foot stitching where you didn't really want your stitches to be super tight. There we go. Look at this. No one's ever going to know that I made a mistake except for you. And let's see. Well, this came out quicker than I thought it was going to. There we go. And now no one has to know you made a mistake, except for I'm going to do the next step here. All right, so let's just pretend I didn't make a mistake and I'm in the center. So let's go back into the center, pull our threads, and okay, all right, now we're going to go into the 3-inch design. There's a couple of ways you could do this, okay? You could either do every other one, or you could go inside the one that you just stitched. We're going to go inside the ones that we just stitched. So we're going to see what that looks like. That's kind of a little echo. Hopefully I'll be able to stay focused because it's already stitched. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go where the ones are already stitched. Let me get my seam ripper out of the way. Just did that one. Okay, let's do this one. And then we're going to do this one. This just makes your design more ornate. And let's get rid of these guys. There we go. And go this way. And then this one. And this one. That might be, no, maybe there's one more. This is the fun part about having templates that are different sizes and the same design. Let me see. Okay, so here is that I'm going to let you look at why I get another quilt sandwich in my crosshair square. I didn't plan on making a mistake, so I used up my 2 pieces on this one. So there's that. Oops, I need my crosshair square. Sorry. Okay, so I'm using the 16-point crosshair square. I really like it because I don't have to line anything up and I can get 16 crosshairs real easily. So anyway, here are these 2, which I will take pictures of and post later. So I can't see it too well on the back. All right, so I'm just gonna want to show you something, a couple of things, since I have this out. I might not be able to get it all on the screen, but I have stable tape on the bottom of all of my crosshair squares, and that is so my crosshair square doesn't slide on my fabric. So that's why I do that. So give me a sec here and I will get this marked. I'm only going to do 8 this time, and then I won't mess up again. And yes, I go twice. I go up and back, up and back. Now, to get in the middle, let's see if you can see that. Okay, I use one of these lines here, and then I use the corresponding, well, not the corresponding, but one of the straight lines here to get it all straight. And then I make sure that I'm there even. This is on the line. These box lines are on the line that I've already marked on my quilt. And then, there we go. And then that's how I find my center. Now, you could do this way too, where you just hold it up against and do it that way. That also works. Okay, there we go. We have 8. So now we're going to do something a little different. Normally when I do this, I like to mark my template, especially if I'm going to do it a lot. But we're just going to give ourselves a visual because I like to have visuals. Now, by marking it, what I would do is I would put either a ruler sticker or a little piece of painter's tape or something like that. So, but what we're going to do is we're only going to stitch on the side of the template that doesn't have the needle slot. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to put it in like this, and we are going to stitch on the side that doesn't have the needle slot. Okay, now we're going to turn the template around. You can do this with a lot of templates, by the way. All of the Spin Effects templates that don't have the same, that aren't symmetrical, right? So this one isn't symmetrical. We talked about that a little bit ago. So, okay. So now I have to come this way, and I can line my template up, right? Because there we go. Now this one, I can go up on the right and then come back, or on the left, sorry, and then come back this way. And I'm using these, I call them baselines, but this is where the needle's going to go. This line that comes here, that's what I'm using. So get that straightened out, and then come back this way. Okay, so only stitch on the side that doesn't have the needle slot. Line it back up and go back down. So by doing this, you've given yourself a completely different template. I really like the way this is coming out. I discovered doing this one day when I made a mistake. That's how all the best designs are made. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. I honestly think the best designs come from making mistakes. And I'm not quite in the center. There we go. Oops. I almost went without flipping the template. Okay. Yes, I agree. Fixing is important. It's really easy for us to um, make mistakes, I guess. I mean, it shouldn't be, but especially when you're filming, right? So if you make a mistake when you're filming, you can just edit it out. But when you make a mistake when you're live, and it didn't necessarily even have to be a mistake, it just, in that one instance, it kind of was. So let's go back here. And the reason that I go out from center when I do this, when I pull my threads, is I'm not gonna I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna bury them, right? So let me, there we go. That's the one. Okay. Let's see if I can get that. All right. See how you have all these threads going back into there? It's hard to bury into that, right? But if you come out a couple stitches, then you go in here and you're not trying to jab your needle into all of this thread, especially if you're using a 16 or a 32 point design. I think that's really helpful. So, all right. So that's what this looks like. I think it came out really nice. I like this in the center, you know, how this kind of makes a little petal in the center. I like that. So, all right. Now, let's do a like a border, not necessarily a border, but maybe sashing. You might have a thin border. That's true. You could have a thin border. So this is my line. What I do in this case is I mark the center of my border. Okay, so this line represents what would be the center of my border. Now, a lot of times when I'm demoing, I'll show you doing something like this and going left to right. That's just like a reading thing, right? Like it's just a normal way to do things is to go left to right. But I'm going to tell you, when you practice, you should actually practice either from top to bottom or from right to left, because you wouldn't take a quilt if you were doing a border and start with the bulk of your quilt to the right of your needle, right? You would start with it probably to the left if you were doing a border. So that's why I say practice doing your stitching going up and down. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go up and down. So we are going to start by pulling our thread on the line. And I'm sure you've seen this 1,000 times where you go, when you do an edge to edge thing. And you can do either size. You could do the big one or the small one, depending on how big your sashing was. Like maybe, let's see, let's measure it. I haven't measured how wide this is. This is, it's about 1¼ minus a half. So it's about 3/4 of an inch wide, the small one. So that would fit really nicely in a 1-inch sashing. And the large one is 2¾ minus a half is 2¼ so that would fit in a 2-inch sashing. So let's do the little one, right? Because I think we'll be able to get more done that way. And it's the same technique and everything. So putting this, I have the point coming towards me, but putting it with the lines on the center, on, you know, this center line that I've made. Okay, so we're going to go, this is going to be left and this is going to be right. So that's important. So we're going to start by going to our left. And in order to get to the point, we have to do that double. then we just move the template, and now we're going to go to the right. And the reason we're doing that is so that you don't have double stitching on one side of your design. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second here if you've never seen this before. So now we have to go to the left. Now we're going to go to the right. And now we're going to go to the left. Oops. Have to get up here. And now we're going to go to the right. I'm going to do one more. And then, now, when I finish, I usually do that, even though you don't have to. So that would be my sashing. And the way that I do sashing, not borders, but the way that I do sashing, is I would measure out how many of these would fit, and I might start a little bit inside the sashing. So let's say, here, let's just do this real quick. Let's measure this. Let's say my block was, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. This is 11 inches. Okay. Well, it's 10 3/4. If I were going to do something on a block that was 11 inches, I would mark out where this was going to start, right? Like by going, okay, so add 1/4 of an inch, and that's going to give me 10 1/4 or 10, whatever. And then I would mark that so that this would be in the center of my sashing. And then I might do something different in the cornerstones, even if the cornerstones are the same fabric as the sashing. And I will tell you a little quilting thing. If you're making a quilt that does have sashing, make it with cornerstones, even if the fabric is the same. So add the sashing to your block and then put it together. It just, everything comes out neater when you're done. You're not trying to make a, like a 60-inch strip match a 60-inch piece of fabric, quilting. So I hope that makes sense. Kind of talking strange today. Okay. So there's that. You could, okay, so we did every other double stitching, and you do that so you don't have thick stitching all on the top. It just kind of tricks the eye. So that's how we do that. And then the other thing you could do with this, if you wanted, on you could use the template and go back and forth different ways. You could also, if you need space, this is pretty small, so it'd be pretty easy to. So this is 1.5 inches, the distance of this. So that's pretty small. You could go like this. Let's see. This is. You know what this would be really good for? If you did quilt as you go and made your sashing a little bit wider than like just 1/4 of an inch and made it an inch, you could do this afterwards, and then it doesn't look like quilt as you go. Now I'm going to flip the template this way. I'm still going to go on the bottom, the double stitching on the bottom. And then I'm going to flip it again and do the double stitching on the top. So it's just a little bit different of a look, not much, but what did I do? That was the top, so now this is the bottom. I don't think it shows as well on this particular size, but if you use the 5-inch size in a border, I think it would, the difference would show up. Well, maybe it kind of does. Let's see. Okay, that was, now we're going up to the top. And this one's going to be on the bottom. Okay. Okay, let's see. There we go. So this has a lot more movement in it, right? It's kind of wobbly. I would call this one wobbly, where this one looks more even, like straight on, and where this one looks wobbly, which I kind of like. So I would do this on a more modern quilt and do this one on a more traditional quilt. So, okay, now for the super fun part. Not that this wasn't fun, because it is. I think any quilting with rulers is fun. So we have some applique that we're going to play with. Now, you may not have seen this, you may have seen it already, but AccuQuilt teamed up with So Steady and made the Spinning Petals die. So it's an applique die that has a lot of different shapes in it. You can see all the shapes right here. So this shape right here was made to go with this template. So that's where that comes from. And we're going to play with the applique part. So I cut out a couple pieces of applique with this die. And you could use Template Fuse if you want. I just used a glue stick and covered the back of the fabric with the glue stick. And then what I did is I took my round crosshair square, and the reason I use the round one, I like to use this when I'm trying to place designs somewhere just to see the size that it's going to be. I used to cut out circles out of paper and place them down. But one thing I really like about this, and I'm not going to be able to do it perfectly, but I have marked this line here. This is 5.5 inches. This shape is 5.5 inches. So by putting this 5.5 inch line, which happens to be dotted, on the tips of the petals, right, and line it up, and I look, and this dotted line goes all the way around and is on the tip of all of the petals, then I can go in this hole and I marked my center. It might be really hard to see, but there's my center, okay? That way, I don't have to mark all of those lines. So that's just me. You can mark them if you want to, but I'm going to show you why I didn't. I find a lot of value in marking most of the time, but I also like to come up with ways where I can do things where I don't have to mark as much, mainly because I have to take the markings out either by ironing them or washing them or brushing them or something, and it takes time. Or I'm using a really light fabric. I did snowflakes on a white background once, and I was so afraid that I was never going to get the marks out that I had to figure out a way to make all of those without marking them. Okay, so see, this is the same shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting the point of the template on the point of the petal. Now, if you want to, you can check with your spacing gauge and use the 1/8 inch size, and you should be 1/8 of an inch away from the template, the fabric, the applique shape. Your template should be about 1/8 an inch away from your applique shape, is what I was trying to say. And because we put the line here, now you know exactly where to put it on the point of the shape. So now I'm just going to go around. And I'm going to stitch this down. And I don't need to have markings. I do want to check this and make sure. This seems to be a little off here. Let's see what happens. There we go. And I'm just going to keep rotating. Now, if you were to use Template Fuse to do this, then your shapes are going to be fused to your background fabric, right? If you use a glue stick like I did, then your fabric is going to fray after a while, and that's okay. There we go. Wait, oops. I want to stick that down a little bit. There. I don't want it to pop up while I'm stitching. Okay. If you're going to use glue, temporary glue, I would wait until just before you stitched. This has been sitting here for a couple of hours. I would wait until just before you stitched so that your tips don't come up. Another thing, if this was going to be washed and you were doing this method with the glue, I definitely would stitch around twice. So let's go here and go this way. Okay. Now I want to do something a little different. I'm hoping this works even though it's not marked. Yeah, I think I'll be fine. Okay, I'm going to come up here to about here. And what I want to do is I want to put this point like in between. So I'm lining up my template this way with the baseline in the center, like where the needle is. So I need to move it down just a little bit. Might be good to mark this, and then I'm going to stitch this way, and I'm going to come up on here And now this is the fun part. You could use the template to do this, or you could just go like this. And then come back down. I go really slow when I do this. And then we're going to do that again. And it's just kind of giving the illusion that there's something behind the fabric. Now, you can do this with regular stitching. You don't have to do it with just applique. I'm not exactly sure how far to go down, to tell you the truth. There we go. Line that up. I think I went too far. Not much though. You could figure this out and use your template to stitch it, which isn't a bad idea if you were afraid to do this kind of traveling. So we have two terms that we use when we're stitching along previously, like to get somewhere: traveling or what's it called? Backtracking. So I call this traveling because we're going from one place to the next. So travel up here. I promise if you're new to ruler work, this becomes much easier the more you do it. It's one of those things that you really have to practice. You can't just you can't fake this. Oh, I don't think that was kind of nice. That should have been over a little bit more, which is why marking it might have been a better idea. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, and then we're going to come up here. I'm almost done. I just have a couple more to go. Oh, this is my last one. Okay. All right, so we're going to come here and we're going to line it up there. And we're going to come here. And then I'm going to come up here because I did on all the other ones, and I just like it to be consistent. Lock my threads, and then okay. Oops. Ah. Okay, so there you have it. You have your applique piece with a little stuff that goes in the back. So it kind of looks like the flower is on top of something. You also could fill this in if you wanted to, if you're a free motion person. I do thread painting sometimes. You could fill that in with thread painting. That would look really pretty. And then the last one I have, I actually took the two shapes, which is, this is not the same size as this template. So you can't really do this in the center, I don't think. But there's my center. I can barely see it. It's a little dark purple line or point. What I did when I put this on my shape, there's a hole in the center. And I took my marking pen and went in the little hole. So this is a um, heat erase pen. So, and I just unthreaded my needle. Not my finest moment. Excuse my head. My needle threader. Oh, it did. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't give me enough thread, but this time it did. Yeah, it's a really fun die. So we're going to do this one, and I'm going to see if it fits. I'm trying to, yeah, there's my, I know it's really hard to see this. If it's hard for me to see it, it's probably impossible for you. It's right there. Okay. Right there. I think I got it. If not, we're going to find out real quick. Okay, so we're going to do this. And we're going to do all of them to secure them down. You know, I don't think we're going to have to. I think the way this is stitching down, it's stitching on both sides of this piece. So I don't think we need to do another one. I think it, oh, I just did that one. Oops. Okay. Disadvantage of using glue. Poke that down, and I don't want to get my finger in there. I don't know if you've ever stitched your finger. It's not a good idea. Okay, let's see if we can. Push that down. There we go. That's why I don't recommend you wait too long after you use your glue. I used a temporary glue stick. I probably could have used Elmer's. That might have been a smarter thing to do. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to fix this. This is it's just like the 505 temporary spray, only it's a glue. So we're just gonna come under here and put some glue on the tip of this, and hopefully it'll stay down. Put some on the tip of that one. And then let's do the rest. That one seems okay. This one seems okay. All right, see what happens. Oh, I'm gonna cut these off while this is out. Boom. All right, now, I would also probably, in this instance, I think what would look really pretty was to use a thread out here that coordinates with the darker center. And if you had a light center, I would use a light thread as well, so that you get a contrasting color in the tips. I think that would be really pretty. Okay, so now we're supposed to be about here. We're gonna see what happens if we, there we go. Okay, I had to fudge that a little bit. And here we go. All right. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up on the right side And then I'm not pushing into that petal. There's a good idea. I should have thought of that sooner. Sometimes it takes me a little to like figure these things out. So we have solved the problem of the fabric jumping up. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that this template is not the same size, but oh, you know what? It kind of is. Let's see. Well, let me show you what this looks like before we do this. Okay, so this is what it looks like before I attempt to see if this works. I've never tried this before. So let's find out. It's not, let's see. Yeah, it might work. Let's see. It does work. Okay, so you can use the smaller of the spinning petal and the 3-inch template. I'm actually going to take these stitches out later because it doesn't look good. I can tell you that right now. I don't think it looks good. I'll show you why. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? All right. See that? It just kind of looks messy, I think. So I'm going to take out these stitches before I take a picture of it. The last stitches that I did, I'm going to take those out. So, but that is how you use the template with applique, which I think is really fun. So, also, I don't know if you're all aware, but we have applique discs, which work like stitching line discs. You can't use them on all the templates, but it makes a marking on paper, right, that is a quarter of an inch away. So the shape ends up being a quarter inch away from your template, but it's an eighth of an inch stitching, right? So I can't do the math right now. I'm sorry. But they're called applique discs and they work just like the stitching line discs. So yeah, I know it doesn't look good. As soon as I did it, I went, yeah, that doesn't look good. So here is it done with the stitching in the background. And here it's done with the stitching on 2 pieces of applique put together. So you could also twist this so that it went into the center of these petals, but I kind of liked it going off in a different way. I think it gives it more movement, I think. So, but that is all I have for you today. I'm just gonna look and see if I've missed any questions. You are so welcome. I appreciate everybody being here all the time that you guys come. It makes my day. Let's see. All right. I'm not seeing any questions. So I'm gonna go back up, and I don't think anybody had any questions. If I missed your question, okay, why the thread choices? So I'm using 40 weight polyester in my needle with a size 80 needle. I use a 60 weight bobbin thread in 2 instances. One, when I'm doing, like when I make placemats or something that I only have the batting and then the fabric and not a backing, I will use a 60 weight thread. The other time is because the thread that's in my machine and my bobbin is water soluble. So after I take pictures of all of this, I can put it in the washing machine in a mesh bag, a mesh bag, and the thread will dissolve, and I can reuse my sandwiches for practice. So that's just a little tip if you ever want to do that. Um, and let's see. Okay, I think I've gotten everything. Oh, the template is called the Spinning Petals template. Um, and it is in the Elevate box, but I think you can probably buy it separately pretty soon. Um, my stitch length is determined by how fast I'm stitching and how fast I'm moving the template. So if you pedal to the metal, you're going to get tight stitches. I don't sew that fast, even when I'm piecing. I'm not like a Speedy Gonzalez sewer. So I don't really know what the length would be, but because the feed dogs are down, I'm controlling the stitch length. It's not a machine setting. It does look like a poinsettia. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, and okay. How often do you do videos? The first Friday of every month, I do videos, mostly with the Elevate box templates, but if you don't have the Elevate box, it's okay because the things that I teach are applicable to other templates. So, alrighty, and you can always reach out to me on Westerly by me if you have any questions. So, I hope you all have a great weekend. Fall is coming, so I'm just going to enjoy the hot weather while I can. Alrighty, everybody, have a great weekend. And again, thank you so much for being here. Bye.